Let's get down in the dirt with the Home Show Garden Pros.
Well, hey, gardeners. Good to see you guys. Here we are on the Facebook Live version of Home Show Garden Pros. I'm Danny Milliken, one of the co-op members and hosts here of Home Show Garden Pros, the live radio show that happens every single Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 610. We have a great website, HomeShowGardenPros.com, and we'll be actually using the questions that people send us on the website. There's a little Ask a Pro button, and we answer the questions. So we have 4 questions that we've garnered from there that we're using here. We also like to lift up kind of what other people are doing in gardening. We really love gardening groups. So you got a gardening group that you want to get lifted up, or you got some big news, email me. Just go, again, HomeShowGardenPros.com. There's the Ask a Pro button. We would love to lift up your gardening group and the fundraising or whatever you're doing that's cool stuff. We love doing that. We have the wonderful Carol Burton from Urban Harvest here with us right now. Hey, Carol.
Hi, Danny. How are you? I'm
doing great. It's great to have Carol because Carol is she truly knows her veggie gardening. So a lot of pressure, Carol. I hope you're ready for answering these super tough questions.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go to answer questions.
You're going to do great. You don't seem nervous at all. You seem like your wonderful natural self. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. So tell us about what you do, what Urban Harvest is doing, and some of the cool stuff that is upcoming.
Sure. So I am the Director of Garden Education for Urban Harvest, and we have classes ready to go in January. So take a look at our urbanharvest.org webpage and our classes calendar to see our classes coming up. I would love for you to join us and take our 10-part series in becoming a organic vegetable expert. So we have a growing organic vegetable 10-part series that starts in January, and it's every other Thursday all the way through May. We have a fruit tree pruning series. We have square foot gardening and also some free classes. Our Juice Girl is going to give a live juicing class in
Awesome.
January, so you can get healthy after all of those sweet treats. And also Justin Duncan from the National Center for Appropriate Technology will be presenting Herbs for Health. So that's in January. We have a lot of classes ready to go for the new year, for your New Year's resolutions and growing resilience gardening. Then in February, we have our virtual Fruit Tree Festival. So this year, we're not having a fruit tree sale fundraiser. Instead, we're having an online festival of virtual events and also a few in-person events. And I'm very glad to announce that Danny will be one of our presenters for our virtual Fruit Tree Festival.
Yay! It's going to be great. We really get to go deep on it. I am sorry. A lot of Houstonians are sorry to miss the fruit tree sale this year. It's really become kind of an iconic gardening tradition in our area. But I'm excited about pivoting and this fruit tree festival too. So everybody stay tuned for that stuff. So how can people learn more about the classes?
Well, basically on our website, you can see our whole calendar of classes of what we have in January and February, all the way through till March, because we also have classes in March. So you can look at fruit tree care, growing herbs. We also have some pre-recorded classes that are just up on the website that you can take anytime. We have small scale composting, and also it's getting a little bit towards the end of the ideal time. It's a little bit past the ideal time to plant garlic and onions, but I still have that free webinar that I put together for folks, because so many
awesome.
folks were asking how to grow garlic and onions, and we have all the resources on our website.
I mean, that's a great class, because really we underestimate onions as a vegetable. Like, honestly, how when it comes to which one Americans are eating the most often, at least the Americans who love cooking, onions have got to be up there, because man, every single meal I start, every single stew I make or whatever I'm making, I seem to always be using an onion. A lot of
Yes,
crying.
you're absolutely right. It's one of the top 3 vegetables that are consumed in the U.S. One of the top 3 most consumed vegetables.
So I'm going to try to guess the other 2.
Yeah, guess the other 2.
Carrots and broccoli.
No,
wait, potatoes. Potatoes.
Bingo, potatoes.
Okay, potatoes and...
in the same family.
Rice? No, that's a grain. Just tell me. No, I'm just kidding. What is it?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes,
and right
of
now,
course.
Yes. in Houston, it is the time to plant tomato seedlings
That's right.
inside, start them indoors, and also it's time to plant potatoes outside so you can get a
Uh-oh.
harvest by May.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I need to. I just read an article about how important it is to the day after Christmas get your tomato seeds in the ground. But you can do it today, right? I mean, people can start as early as they want.
Exactly. If you're in the Montrose area, if you're inside the loop, the best time is now. If you're
Okay.
outside the loop, and then after the 25th is a good time.
But if your tomatoes are a little bit taller, that's okay too. You know, it's kind of
That's
nice.
right. That's right. And you
Well,
want a really good LED light to get them strong and not leggy, because that is one thing about new growers is they'll grow them by the windowsill and they'll be a little bit too long and leggy, and when they go outside they'll collapse, and then it's time to move them to the compost pile.
oh, that's
So for
great
successful
information
transplants, yeah, you want that really good light.
because you gotta have the red and the blue. That's what you're saying. Lights. That's awesome. Well, thanks for that info. So, Carol, it's
Sure.
your first time here on our Facebook Live. So what we do is I've harvested some questions from our, question catalog that we get every single week on our email, which is awesome. And so
Okay.
we're just gonna answer a few. I'm gonna ask you the question, then we'll talk a little bit about it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited about hearing your answers. I'm not gonna take notes because that'll make me look bad, but I'm gonna try to remember what you say. So, you ready to get going?
I'm ready.
All right. Question 1 is from Shay, which is my middle name
Okay.
also. Kind of cool. Shay says, help! My eggplants died in the freeze, and I need a small and fast-growing veggie to take its place. Carrots?
Okay, eggplants. I am so glad that you're letting the eggplant pass on, because a lot of times folks will try to just keep those summer vegetables going and nurse them along. And so if it's died, it's a good time to bring in your cool weather veggies. Radishes are really quick. You'll have a harvest in 30 days. Arugula, you can harvest the leaves in 28 days.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
carrots are a little bit longer. Carrots are 72 days to harvest.
Okay.
So really for carrots, you want to think 90 days, like 3 months to harvest.
Dang.
And so if you mix your radishes and carrots together, in 30 days, you can have your radishes, and then in another 2 months, you can have your carrots come in. So radishes are the quickest, and then
Okay.
any leaf lettuce will also give you a quick baby salad mix turnaround.
Yeah, I'm thinking like if it's a bunch of different eggplants, that's one thing. You probably need to strategize and diversify. But if you just lost one eggplant, maybe arugula, lettuce, or radishes, not all three is the way to go there. That's great. I didn't realize that arugula was so fast.
It is pretty fast, and it's delicious to
Yeah,
add to your salad.
salad or sandwiches. I love it on sandwiches.
Yes, salad, sandwiches, pesto, pizza.
Okay, so Shay Harris, maybe carrots aren't the number one thing to do, but there are a lot of quick and easy vegetables to replace that big space taker up that is an eggplant plant.
Yes,
Okay.
so also mustard greens. Let me toss in mustard greens, because
Oh,
you'll
yeah.
get a bigger plant, and you can start to harvest the baby leaves pretty quick. And then you can let it fill out and get a more mature plant of mustard greens.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, my mind went immediately to radishes and arugula and lettuce, but some of those off-the-wall ones are really great and satisfying. And, we always love it when people don't, when people are trying something new they haven't grown. So that's kind of cool too. So we're going to go on to question 2 now. This one's a real stumper. This is my bad in the writing here. My syntax didn't get right on the pentax. So the question is from Patty, my pentas, the pretty butterfly flower, my pentas got zapped by the cold. Do I bring them in, cut them back, or leave them alone? So that's Patty's question.
Okay, Patty, your pentas are more of a tropical plant. So if they do have frostbite, you can definitely cut them back. And since we're in the middle of December and we still have potential freeze, tomorrow is supposed to be very cold.
Right.
Make sure you have some mulch, some hay or bags of leaves in order to cover it if we're going to get a freeze, or to throw a frost cloth over it. Now, to help it recover, a foliar feed and drench of a full spectrum fish and seaweed emulsion would really help to revive and restore your pentas. So it would nourish the roots, really build the soil web to build some resilience for the pentas. and then just get ready to protect it the next time we get another little cold snap.
So would you do that kind of liquid feeding before or after the cold snap that we're facing?
You want to do it before, and also
Okay.
watering your plants in before a freeze will also help them become a little bit more resistant
Okay.
to the freeze.
Yeah, that's awesome. But for sure, cover them up. Let the Earth's heat protect them. And don't remember, folks, we will always want a tent when we cover, not a little lollipop or a ball, just protecting the leaves. So just remember that when you're covering your plants.
Right, exactly.
And it's interesting you said that about Pintus being kind of tropical. A lot of people think they're natives, and they are native maybe to our continent near here, but yeah, they're going to always take a little hit with the cold, but you can revive them. So it's up to you, Patty, if you want to rip them out or not. Now, pansies, there's a lot of plants to put in right now that are really beautiful. Violas and small snapdragons, things like that. Dianthus that are going to really hold up to the cold no matter what. So it's up to you, but it sounds like our expert today, Carol, saying that you should go ahead and cut them back and cover them up.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, question number. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say, as you said, you can protect them, or you said dig them up. So if you dig them up, you could put them in a container. So you could put that container, on a covered porch or in the garage for the night before the freeze. And then Ides of March, when we're clear of frost, you can bring them back outside.
Yeah, and they'll even thrive way before that too. When you're putting tomatoes in, you can be putting Pintus in. That's for sure. Bees love them. All right, question 3. This is from Christina. She's got a pickle here, or maybe that's a hint what she can do. Okay, the windstorm knocked off the bananas on my dad's tree. So bananas on the ground. What can he do with them since they're obviously not ripe? Any suggestions? Christina's dad said they're macho bananas, plantain medium, not a large tree. So some green bananas. Any cooking instructions?
Okay, for green bananas, I would leave them on the countertop, and let them mature. So if they're in the green state, that's what I would do. I would leave them on the counter until they get softer, a little bit more ripe. They will continue to ripen on the counter. It just depends on how green they are being knocked off. If they look like they're full mature size and they're still green, then they will ripen. It will just take longer.
Okay.
If
so
they're really green, then I don't know.
Gotcha, yeah. Let's just assume they're almost ready and they're just green. But are there any recipes you can think of that you can use green bananas in? I'm thinking of like I would use plantains or something like that. Or is that just too different?
Well, for plantains, something very simple that you can do is to just bake the whole green banana in the oven at 350 until they're soft. And after they're soft, then because we have done that, we've been given some green bananas and we just bake them. And then the next day we're able to peel them and they're a little bit softer and a little bit sweeter from sitting overnight. So that's a very just simple thing to do, is just to bake them and then have them the next day.
That's awesome. Well, Christina, hope that helps. And I'm going to email her that also, Carol, if you don't mind. Because that one
Okay, I don't mind at all.
I didn't know the answer to that one. That was great. So there's hope for green bananas. That's good stuff. All right, question 4, our last question from the email. So Trent asked this. I like this question because it's like he asks us a question and then he goes ahead and answers it already. So, is cedar a good wood to use for raised beds? And maybe I'll ask you, is cedar the best wood to use? Trent then says, I lined mine with the black weed guard cloth. So it seems like he's hoping the answer is yes because he's already bought and installed the cedar for his raised beds.
Okay, well, cedar wood for raised beds is my favorite. It is the absolute best because it is a little bit more resistant to pests naturally. It has insect repellent as part of it. It is free and clear of any treatments applied to it to preserve
versus treated
it.
lumber.
So, exactly. And you really don't need to have a liner for it because you don't have to worry about protecting your soil from any copper or arsenic, which the lumber industry did stop using arsenic. And so now they use copper, but we don't know the effects on humans of having too much copper in our system. So it is just a trace mineral, and our bodies have trace amounts of it for optimum health, especially brain health. You do need trace amounts of copper. But what happens when you have too much copper. They say now that it's actually affecting children with ADHD characteristics, that too much copper is being aggravated. They're not able to metabolize it and chelate it out of the system. So cedar for your raised garden beds is excellent. It's just usually a little bit more cost prohibitive for folks when they're building the garden bed. So if you have the funds and you can spend a little bit more in cedar, that's wonderful. If you use your fabric landscape cloth, it will help to preserve the wood a little bit longer, but it's not absolutely necessary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen a bed by another bed. One broke down, and it had the cloth in it. So maybe even trapped some, moisture next to it that wouldn't have been trapped next to it. So I would say don't skip the black cloth, but again, not too big of a deal. Now, my brother recently bought a bunch of cedar from a lumber mill, and it's near Brenham. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but maybe look up cedar, milled cedar or something like that, and that's a good way to get a lot of cedar for less expensive. So you don't have to go to the big box stores to get it.
Excellent. Thanks for that tip and a source.
Yeah, and we used to buy cypress wood, but cypress is a slow-growing tree that we'd really like to protect. So that's a little bit more rare of an occasion to get that. Well, in honor of the fruit festival that's coming up, I selected an apple question as our kind of video of the week. So Sherry Harris she's going to read a question to us and answer it about apple trees. So over to you, Sherry.
Chris has a question about his apple tree. And although, Chris, you're doing everything right to take care of this beautiful apple tree, some varieties are more susceptible to diseases, and your apple tree has powdery mildew. So get a good botanical fungicide treatment and spray the leaves down. And with our warm temperatures coming up and hot days, the fungus will go away.
Well, I really hope that helps anybody dealing with apple problems or any other problems with kind of that same pest. Foliar sprays are really good. Carol, you mentioned foliar spray earlier today.
I did for that's just full spectrum, all organic plant food, such as the MicroLife Ocean Harvest. That's one of our favorite things to use just daily for the garden.
Well, that's great. They sponsored the show, so that's nice. Anything you wouldn't put that on? I mean, I think you probably use that on just about everything.
You can use it on your edible gardens, your vegetables, your fruit trees, and if you really want to see increased growth, you could use it every day. And for some folks who don't have access to that, if you create an aerated compost tea and use that water to feed your plants, you could sort of make your own foliar feed as well. So any plants that you would not want to use it on, well, of course, during the summer and spring, if you're going squash, and also on your tomato leaves, you want to make sure that you still have enough sunlight, daylight hours for it to be completely dry before nightfall so that it's not susceptible to powdery mildew. Yeah,
so I hope everybody wrote that down. That's a great tip that we don't hear often enough, that we don't want to go to bed with a tomato or squash leaves wet. So that's thanks for saying that. That's really great. Well, tell us real quick about some of the upcoming events. I know you talked about in the beginning, but they're just such great things. Plus, maybe I can stall a little bit if anybody's got a question that they want to get into the chat box on here. So, you got the organic veggie class. It's a series.
Growing Organic Vegetable Series that starts January 7th on a Thursday. Then it's every other Thursday all the way through May, and you will be certified in growing organic vegetables by Urban Harvest.
And that really is a wonderful class. I've got to sit in on a bunch of those classes, and it's deep, it's broad, it's really informative. So I'm really a big fan of it.
Wonderful. And then we have our fruit tree pruning series. This is usually a live in-person class in the backyard of a home with hands-on demonstrations. But this year, with the COVID pandemic social distancing guidelines, we're going to meet all in Zoom, so you can watch videos and demonstrations of how to prune your fruit trees.
That's awesome. And I definitely, if you've got a variety of fruit trees, it doesn't have to be that many, but if you're dealing with apples and citrus, they do not get pruned the same way. Even peaches, pears, and apples don't. So really great class for kind of doing that stuff. And again, I've participated in that one. I taught a couple classes, and it is definitely worth the time and energy that goes into it. And sometimes you get to try some fruit even. So that's kind of cool. And then we've got the Fruit Tree Festival. Woo!
That's right, the Fruit Tree Festival. We're going to kick it off with Care of Fruit Trees. And then we also have Danny joining us on Tuesday of that week for care of mature fruit trees. And then we have regenerative agriculture and fruit trees in community spaces. Also, we have a cultivated cocktail event featuring cocktails with citrus.
That's awesome. Well, what a week. What a week. It sounds so great, and it's so great that you guys are being creative and adjusting. So to learn more about all of these classes, just go to urbanharvest.org. It's a nonprofit, and it's a great nonprofit that's been serving our city for years and years. And you can learn more about what they do with school gardens and with all these classes. So, Carol, you play a big role in the school gardens. How's that going?
That's right. Well, our school gardens are
COVID-y.
They're with COVID, we are still with some of our partners. So normally we partner with about 25 schools per school year. So we're down to 10 school partners with the COVID guidelines. We still have our garden educators going out to school sites and gardening and harvesting, while the teachers are live streaming to their students at home.
Oh, wow.
So the students at home are still getting virtual lessons while the garden teacher and the garden educator is in the garden. So if you go to our website, and any donation to support us helps to support the work that we do at schools, community gardens, food access, supporting the local farmers market, as well as our classes for adults.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Carol, thanks so much. Great job. And, again, if any garden club members are out there and you guys want to be featured in this really fun way on the Facebook Live, just email me. You can do that through the website, homeshowgardenpros.com, the Ask a Pro button. While you're there, there's the listen button, and you can listen to the show. It's a lot like this. We answer gardening questions, give out great gardening advice. Our whole goal is for you to be successful. So that's why we do all this. So we'll be able to have great produce, great flowers, great trees, great lawns, all of that. So Carol, thanks again for being with us. Great job.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Oh, of course. I always like chatting with you. We need to have a meeting soon about the February stuff and how OBA can be involved.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
Okay, my pleasure. Bye-bye.